Coming up next on your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown, CM Punk addresses a rumor about AJ Lee. Where the heck is Asuka? And Braun Strowman has announced his return to professional wrestling. All coming up next on your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown. This is just a reminder that we omit any news or information which could potentially spoil the results, angles, storylines, or surprise debuts taking place in professional wrestling. If you appreciate this type of wrestling coverage, please consider subscribing, clicking the notifications bell, and sharing this video with friends. And unfortunate news for former IWGP World Champion Will Ospreay. He has announced that he has tested positive for COVID-19 and is experiencing some mild symptoms. RevPro took to Twitter to announce that their champion has tested positive for the virus. They wrote, Will Ospreay has tested positive for COVID-19. He is fully vaccinated, only has mild symptoms, and is otherwise healthy. He will be following protocols and will be out of this weekend's shows. He is expected to be able to compete at September 19th's High Stakes. Ospreay also put out a video, and in that video he said, I'm sure I'll be back in no time, so other than that, I hope everyone is well. I can't go to the RevPro shows this weekend, so unfortunately you'll have to deal with only really good wrestling, not the best wrestling, because the best wrestler is currently battling COVID. I'm going to beat COVID, and why? Because I am on another level. The television ratings are in for this week's edition of WWE Raw on August 30th from Oklahoma City. Up on your screen now are the last few weeks of Raw, and this is courtesy of ITNWWE.com. So you can see Raw brought in 1,907,000 viewers and a 0.54 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. So that's down from the post-SummerSlam edition of Raw last week, which did very well, getting over 2 million viewers and a 0.64 in the key demo. So not a bad rating for Raw on Monday, but down from the big bump they got from SummerSlam on last week's show. Former ROH World Champion Rush has undergone surgery. He announced on his official Instagram page recently. It is not known what amount of time Rush will be out of action for. It was also revealed that more information will be given during a press conference on Thursday. Now, Ring of Honor had noted recently that Rush suffered a knee injury during a tag match between him and Dragon Lee against Bandito and Ray Horus. The exact nature of the injury is unknown, and his recovery time is to be determined, so we should have more on Rush's injury on Thursday. WWE's Asuka hasn't wrestled since the Money in the Bank pay-per-view back in July. Fans have sort of been wondering where she's been. Well, she posted a photo to Twitter yesterday that has a lot of people talking. She posted the photo to thank her dentist for finally helping her get new teeth after she had a tooth knocked out in a match back in February. But what a lot of fans are drawing attention to is that Asuka has her arm in a sling in the picture. So is that perhaps the reason why Asuka has been out of action since mid-July? Asuka has been having some fun with the photo on Twitter earlier today. She has changed her arm to be some type of, I guess, laser gun in this photo. She's also changed her arm to have Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet from the Marvel movies. So what we know is that Asuka has got new teeth, her arm is in a sling, and that's it. That's all there is to know. When CM Punk made his return to professional wrestling inside Chicago's United Center on the first dance, many fans noticed that he had two sets of initials printed on his sneakers. He had the initials AC on one side and CF on the other. Now, many people took to Twitter to speculate as to what these initials could mean, but Punk himself clarified what the initials mean during a recent interview with the New York Post. He said, I stole this from LeBron James. A lot of basketball players will write messages on their shoes and stuff. I wrote AC on my shoes and CF on the other foot. AC is always Chicago and CF is Chicago forever. So that mystery has been cleared up. With CM Punk recently having returned to professional wrestling after a 7.5-year absence, some fans were wondering if this could possibly lead to AJ Lee returning to the wrestling ring as well. Punk addressed this during a recent interview with the New York Post, and here is what he had to say. "I just want to say no," Punk said, "just because of her neck. The reason she stopped wrestling is because of her neck. She's got a bad neck, you know. I wouldn't want her to jeopardize her health, and neither would she, so we'll put an end to that rumor right now." Braun Strowman will be returning to wrestling on October 1st. He is going to be wrestling EC3 on the Free the Narrative 2 pay-per-view, The Monster in Us All. So this is the sequel to EC3's pay-per-view that aired back in July, which was Free the Narrative 1, and he wrestled Matt Cardona on the show. So EC3 versus Braun Strowman at Free the Narrative 2. So what is Free the Narrative? Well, this is how it is described on the website. It says, "Free the Narrative is completely independent of any wrestling promotion. Set to an original score, FTN blends professional wrestling, cinema, and harsh reality in what will become the true definition of creative freedom for an industry that desperately needs it and any performer that truly seeks it." It also says here of Braun Strowman and this event, it says, "After his shocking dismissal from the corporate wrestling realm, join Adam Shearer," so that's Strowman, "on a journey of self-discovery in his return to the ring when Scherer battles EC3 in Free the Narrative 2, The Monster in Us All." Strowman was released from his WWE contract on June 2nd, and his 90-day no-compete window is believed to have expired yesterday. WWE has announced a change of location for its October 1st episode of Friday Night SmackDown. The event was originally scheduled for New Orleans' Smoothie King Center. However, the impacts of Hurricane Ida have caused a change of venue. The event will now take place in Baltimore's Royal Farms Arena. WWE also announced that anyone who had purchased tickets for the event in the Smoothie King Center will have those tickets honored for a new date in 2022. Charlotte Flair made some headlines recently when she said she wants to be the female John Cena in WWE during an interview with DAZN. Here is what Flair had to say. Flair said, "First, I want to say there will never be another John Cena. He has meant that much to the industry. But I do know when I first started, and to this day, that is who I want to mold myself after and be like. Unfortunately, I am a bad guy on camera, and Cena is the ultimate good guy. But I never lose that density or passion of wanting to embody WWE, wanting to do as much on the outside, for instance, media and the Special Olympics. There's so many community events that we take part in. I hope to be mentioned in the same sentence as him. He's John Cena. I'm a talent in the same company as him. Not even a peer, but as a coworker, and I still say it like that. He's John Cena. Yes, I want to be the female John Cena. And if people say that, then I'm going to continue, even if I don't feel like I've gotten there yet. But I'm going to continue to work as hard and feel that I want to be that way with everything I do." Former NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa recently took part in an interview with Fightful. During the discussion, Ciampa clarified that the reason why he doesn't want to go to either Raw or SmackDown is purely because of the schedule that the WWE main roster requires. Here is what Ciampa had to say. He said, "It's the load. I think people misconstrued it as he hates Raw or SmackDown. No, when I talked to Lillian Garcia, it was a month or two after I had neck surgery. Neck surgery that was potentially going to end my career. We were discussing home and road life, and I said, I don't think I can handle traveling 300 days out of the year. I physically would need a lighter load, and NXT provides a lighter load. That's where I was at. If somebody told me today you have to travel 300 days for work, then okay, the job is not for me." Ciampa continued, "Things have changed. The pandemic hit and no one traveled. Now we're kind of post-pandemic. Not really, but we kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel and people are traveling a little bit. I'm also 2 years out from neck surgery. I have this discussion with a lot of people, and it's always confusing to me, and I think sometimes as a professional wrestler, and most likely for all athletes across the board, people look at you like he is a cog in the wheel. People forget there is a human being there. The human being, Tommaso Ciampa, can't travel 300 days a year because he had neck surgery. That's reality and truth. He has a 3-year-old at home and likes to watch her grow up. That's important to him. It's kind of silly to take it and spin it in such a weird direction, like I said it out of spite or hate, because I didn't. It's not what it is. And the final thing we're going to cover in this video, AEW presents Dynamite tonight from the Now Arena just outside of Chicago. Here is what they have scheduled for the show. CM Punk will be live and will cut a promo in front of a live Chicago crowd tonight. We will have the tag team rematch between FTR and Santana and Ortiz. Brian Cage will take on Powerhouse Hobbs. JR is going to have a sit-down interview with Chris Jericho. The Elite will team up to face the Lucha Bros and Jurassic Express in 8-man tag team action. Ty Conti will take on Penelope Ford, and Orange Cassidy will take on Jack Evans. And with that, you are completely up to date with everything that's making headlines in the world of professional wrestling, minus anything which could potentially spoil future shows, angles, storylines, match results, or surprise debuts for you. I'm your host, Gentleman Ian, for Spoiler Free Wrestling.